Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I prepared gold jollof rice. Let me know if you're going to try this in the comment section. So these are the ingredients for this goat. This is what I used to steam the goat. So I blended ginger, garlic, rosemary, and then onions. Then I added a little bit of water. And then I added it to my goat meat, which is washed thoroughly. Then I added a little bit of salt. I think you guys will see in a bit. So I added the salt, stirred, turned on the burner, then allowed it to cook. These are the ingredients I use for the stew. I use onions, red and green bell peppers, tomatoes, scotch, bonnet pepper, salsa, sardine, nutmeg, maggi, rosemary, bay leaf, and then curry powder. So I blended the pepper and the onions plus 1 piece of bay leaves and rosemary, and then I set that aside. Guys will see that in a bit. This infuse the flavors of the rosemary and the bay leaf. You can blend it, you can add it to it as a whole. It's up to you. I blended some and then I added some to the stew as well. So I blended this. I had leftover oil in the fridge, so after I blended it, I added the blended pepper and onion mix in the oil and then set that aside. So after blending this, I didn't wash the blender. I just added the tomatoes and then I set that aside as well. I have a small blender, so I always have to cut them in smaller pieces because it's more or less like a smoothie blender and not a kitchen blender, I'll say. So I blended the tomatoes as well, added a little bit of water, and then I set that aside as well. Shooting this was really difficult because I had to set my camera up, like making sure I'm getting angle, everything is showing properly, but well, I did it anyway. So I set this aside as well, and then now all the blended stuffs are ready. I'm not going to blend anything else. The only thing I'm going to do is put these ones in the stew when it's ready. So I checked on my goat meat and realized it was cooking. I added too much water, but since the jollof, I didn't add any water to the jollof. I used the stock itself to cook the jollof, so it wasn't really that bad. Since goat meat takes quite some time to cook because of the toughness, I had to play some music on YouTube, relax, wait for it to cook. It took about 20 to 30 minutes to fully cook. Then I realized I was going to add it to the jollof, so even if it cooks like 90% done, then I fry. Frying is also a form of cooking, so I was also going to cook it then, and then I'll also add it to the jollof, which is also going to give it an extra cooking time. So I was like, oh, it's cooking anyway. So at this point, I checked on my goat. I realized it was a little bit too hard, but it was coming out well and it smelled so nice. So at this point, our goat was done and then it was time for frying. So I took it out from the stock. I seasoned my oil with bay leaves and then I started with my frying. I fried it for about 15 to 20 minutes. I just wanted the outside to be crispy and then the inside to be chewy kind of. So I waited for my oil to heat up a little. Then once it was heated up, I started putting in my meat. So at this point, my goat meat was ready. As you can see, it's looking so beautiful, so well done. So I took it off the fire and then I started preparing my stew. So after I took out the meat, I added my sliced onions. As you guys can see, I used the same oil I used for the meat. I didn't change the oil, I still used that same oil. So I added my onions, simmered it for a couple of minutes, made sure it was a little cooked. And then I saw that there were some black things from the goats, I think the seasoning, so I took them out as much as I can. And then I added my tomato paste. I'm using salsa tomato paste. It brings out the color really well, and I find out that if you're using tomato paste and you add it before you add your blended stuff, the color actually really comes out well. So I added my tomato paste, simmered for some minutes, and then I added my blended onion, pepper, rosemary, and then bay leaf. So you guys can see I gave it a good wind. You can see the color popping already. It looks so reddish. It looked so reddish. So I allowed it to simmer for some time. Waited, and then I added my blended stuff. I had to check whether the goat meat was hard or soft. I couldn't taste it because I don't eat good, so the only option was to use my hand to check whether it was hard or soft. Because I wanted the bay leaf and the rosemary to be infused in the stew, I added it before I added my blended tomatoes. So I added the bay leaf, I added the rosemary, gave it a good stir, and then I added my tomatoes later. I added some black pepper as well. At this point, the stew was almost done, so I added my sardines, I added my curry powder, I added my nutmeg before I added the rice. I did this right before I added the rice because I wanted it to have a very nice flavor. That's why I added them before I added the rice. I rinsed the gino because I only had half of it and I needed it to be infused in it properly. So at this point, the stew was done, so I gave it a quick stir and then added my washed rice. After adding the rice, I didn't add any water to it. I just stirred it, covered it for a couple of minutes before I added my stock. So in this jollof, there was actually no added water. I just cooked it with the stock from the goat. A couple of minutes for it to get cooked, I realized it was still kind of hard, so I sprinkled just a little bit of water on it, not too much. I couldn't film that part because I wasn't recording, so I sprinkled just like 2 tablespoons of water on the jollof, covered with my nylon bag, and then allowed it to cook. So there was actually no water in it except the beef stock, and that gives it the nice flavor that I got after. At this point, the jollof was done, so I added the bell peppers to give it some color, and then the goat meat. And guys, it smelled so nice. As you can see from the color, this is the best Ghana jollof, and I must say this is the best jollof I've ever made. And I don't even eat goat, so I really did well, and I'm proud of myself. Let me know if you guys are going to try this in the comment section.
Another woman that can take your spotlight.
Jollof is done, guys. Let me know if you're going to try this in the comment section. Let me know how it turns out. I know you will enjoy this so much. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients, but it comes out really well. You can try them with anything. The bell peppers are just aesthetics.